Morning on the snowy Montana highlands is never gentle. The cold wind cuts straight across your face, and ahead of us stretches an endless white sea, home to the invasive wild boars that constantly push down and tear up livestock pastures. In the U.S., the damage they cause tops $1.5 billion a year, from torn-up cattle feed to busted fences and wrecked irrigation lines. Our 2025 Ford F-150 Raptor rolled to a stop at the edge of the timberline, its turbo V6 still hot after the icy climb. With a dedicated GPS, a thermal scope, and a seasoned hunting crew, we stepped into the kind of journey where every choice has one goal: protect the land and the people who live out here in the wild. Stay with us. Don't take your eyes off the screen. Just minutes after leaving the truck, fresh tracks pressed into the snow led us to a lone boar rooting for frozen roots. In winter, this is what they do. Dig up young shoots farmers desperately try to protect for spring growth. Knowing the damage a single animal can cause, we moved in from the downwind side to avoid being scented. One clean shot, fast, quiet, and the boar had no chance of tearing up another patch of soft ground. Deeper into the timber, the crunch of snow kept rhythm under our boots. Suddenly, a full-grown boar stepped out right in front of us, barely 10 meters away. At that distance, in deep snow, a cornered wild boar can turn aggressive fast. We held our ground, not backing up, not panicking, following the first rule of firearm safety: control your firing angle, identify your target, and never shoot if your team is behind it. Only when everything was clear did the shot ring out. Moments like this remind you, facing a wild boar in real life is nothing like what the books say. When the snowfall eased and visibility sharpened, we pushed up the slope. In the distance, a dark shape moved quietly between thick patches of snow, a young male. These scouts usually walk ahead of the herd, searching for food. They're the reason ranchers near Yellowstone keep reinforcing their electric fences. One small gap, and a boar will tear through it in minutes. At 40 meters, I kept my distance, a sweet spot where the cold wind wouldn't throw the shot off. One clean pull, problem solved. We moved into a more open section of the ridge. The team captain climbed onto a tall outcrop overlooking the snow-covered valley. From up there, he spotted a huge dark figure tearing into the snow searching for roots. Wind on the ridge was strong, so he adjusted slightly right and dropped the boar with a single well-placed shot. Descending into the valley in the Ford F-150 Tremor, we spotted another lone boar. They often reuse old trails to conserve energy in winter. I stepped out, circled downwind, and closed the distance. Another clean shot. Proof again that tactics matter far more than gunpowder. As we entered a stand of thin pines, I heard faint cracking under the snow. A familiar sound, boars on the move. Seconds later, 3 dark shapes burst across the clearing. Small groups like this are exactly the kind that tear up livestock pens and ruin irrigation lines for farmers in Colorado and Idaho. Everything happened in a heartbeat, but it was enough to stop a damaging group from ripping up more of this forest farmland edge, already suffering heavy losses. Snow still drifted down as we loaded the last boar into the back of the F-150. Today's shots weren't just hunting highlights. They were part of protecting property, crops, and the safety of the folks living around these snowy American pines.
Hey! Attention là-haut à gauche, 2 bons à tirer à gauche.
There are serene lands, but deep within, nature churns with relentless ferocity. Wild boars are not just creatures of the wild, they are a silent threat to crops and human livelihoods. Across America, fields lie ravaged, barns stand in ruins, and forests are devastated by these animals. Their presence signals an unforgiving battle, and we will not surrender in this fight. Will our skills and experience be enough to reclaim control from these growling shadows? Join us to find the answer right now. Kicking off today's hunt, we venture into towering Rocky Mountains, where rugged terrain and dense thickets obscure visibility. After checking our equipment, organizing the team, and coordinating communication positions, the group begins moving along the steep slopes. From a distance, at the base of the cliff, I catch a glimpse of a wild boar lurking behind dry grass. Without hesitation, I get into position, raise my rifle, and prepare for the confrontation. Patiently waiting and aiming directly at the boar, I pull the trigger. With a single shot hitting its weak spot, the wild boar collapses, instantly unable to react. It seemed like everything ended with the first shot, but no, it was only the beginning. Suddenly, the rustling of dry leaves echoed. Another wild boar was charging toward me. Without hesitation, I took aim, and when the moment was right, I pulled the trigger. The bullet struck the boar's body, sending it tumbling down the cliff before it went completely still. Not far away, on another cliff, my teammate John was locked in a fierce struggle. 3 wild boars burst out from the bushes, fleeing in the opposite direction of his ambush. But in a split second, John fired 3 precise shots, taking down all 3 before they could escape. After hearing the decisive shots from John's direction, the team realized he had finished his pursuit. Without delay, Tony decided to navigate along the rocky slope and climb to a higher vantage point to survey the situation. From above, he spotted the dark silhouette of a wild boar weaving through the tall grass, charging straight toward him. Without hesitation, Tony raised his rifle and fired. 2 precise shots, and the boar collapsed right in front of him. Contrary to our stealth, the forest began to echo with sounds signaling another battle about to unfold. Among the trees, the rapid, forceful stomping on ground grew louder. Suddenly, a massive black shape darted past like lightning, a large, powerful wild boar charging like a whirlwind. I gripped my rifle tightly. Cold sweat trickled down my spine as heavy breaths filled the air. The boar weaved through the underbrush, disappearing and reappearing in flashes. After a few seconds, it fully emerged between the trees. Without hesitation, I pulled the trigger. The deafening shot shattered the silence. The beast collapsed, motionless. The forest fell quiet again, save for our ragged breathing. We ventured deeper into the forest, known to be a favorite haunt of wild boars. As expected, there was little time to catch our breath after the previous shot. Another boar appeared not far away, moving through a clearing in the woods. I took cover behind a small tree, raised my rifle, pressed it firmly against my cheek, steadied my breathing, and when the moment was perfect, I pulled the trigger without hesitation. The shot rang out, clear, sharp, and decisive. The beast staggered from the impact and collapsed motionless. Other boars scattered chaotically through the forest, and my teammates worked swiftly to take down as many as possible. At the same time, a few hundred meters away in the western part of the forest, my teammate was engaged in his own intense battle. Before him, a wild boar charged forward, its hooves crunching through the dry leaves, shattering the forest silence. His eyes locked onto its every move, the barrel of his rifle tracking the boar like a shadow. At the precise moment the animal stepped into his crosshairs, a decisive shot rang out. Without hesitation, the beast halted, then collapsed onto the leaf-covered forest floor. We decided to head back before dark carrying our trophies. Hunting wild boars isn't for sport, it's a mission to protect ourselves and the local community. There's no recklessness here, only experience, preparation, and the resolve of seasoned hunters. All activities strictly adhere to legal regulations and prioritize safety.
Get ready for a tense and exhilarating hunt where every second is a battle of wits with the untamed wilderness. In this video, we'll take you through dense forests and endless open fields, facing fierce wild boars in heart-pounding ambushes. The rifles are loaded, hunting instincts are alive, so let's begin the journey. Our journey starts deep in the forest, where sunlight filters through thick canopies, casting mysterious shadows. Every step must be cautious, for even the faintest noise could send the prey fleeing. This is not just a sanctuary for wildlife, it's a battlefield that tests both intellect and hunting skill. We began tracking in the western forest. Hidden among the thick foliage of the old-growth woods, every sense was on high alert. Suddenly, a dark blur shot through the leaves. Instinct kicked in. I quickly raised my rifle, took careful aim, and squeezed the trigger. The shot thundered through the forest. The target collapsed instantly, ending a tense pursuit. Wasting no time, I chambered another round, eyes sharp, scanning the forest for the next hunt. In the nearby forest, my teammate John was also zeroed in on his target. A boar was attempting to slip away, weaving through the dense undergrowth in search of cover. John raised his rifle, locked the target in his sights, and held steady. The gunshot shattered the silence. The bullet tore through the air like an arrow in the wind, deadly accurate. The beast dropped instantly, unable to resist. I let out a breath of relief as the forest returned to its natural stillness. Then the hounds were unleashed, darting like arrows through the thick woods. They picked up the scent quickly, skillfully driving the prey toward us. My hunting instinct surged. The first shot was a feint, bait to lure the target in. Then, out of nowhere, a massive shadow charged. I gripped my rifle firmly and fired. Boom! The boar collapsed, lifeless, and silence returned to the forest. In less than a minute, the beast had been brought down. Here, the rule is simple. Hunt or be hunted, there is no third option. Leaving the dense jungle behind, we headed toward a vast open field where the boars had been quietly hiding. They had treated the rice paddies like a banquet table, tearing up farmland and rooting through the young crops. The rifles were ready, the radios were live, every piece of gear prepared. The hunt was on. Standing in the middle of the wide field, I lined up my sights on the prey. My heart pounded, but the boar's carelessness gave me my shot. The bullet exploded from the barrel, cutting through the air, striking the target square in the body. It dropped instantly, another threat neutralized. This shot wasn't just about restoring peace to the countryside. It was a clear warning to the destroyers. There will be no second chances. The next target entered my sights. Across the field, a pack of aggressive boars was tearing through the crops. The distance was long, enough to make the difference between success and failure. I held my breath, steadied the rifle, and aimed. Time seemed to freeze. And then boom. The bullet screamed through the air, the sound of the shot echoing across the fields. The boar stumbled, then collapsed. Another trophy for the day. Tonight's feast would be a grand one, especially after a long, exhausting hunt. From a patch of grass nearby, I checked my tracker. There it was. The boar wandered the field, unaware that death was closing in. I locked the target in my crosshairs, ready to deliver the final verdict. The animal kept moving, but I didn't falter. I took a deep breath, held my aim, and fired. The bullet flew like a divine arrow, striking the target square in the head, headshot. The boar dropped instantly. Behind that shot lay a hunter's duty to protect. This hunt wasn't just a game of instinct, it was a matter of survival for the locals, a safeguard for the land and the harvest. Today's chase ended in pure adrenaline. From the harsh depths of the forest to the open fields, nothing could stop the hunter's determination. Every gunshot wasn't just the end of the hunt, it was a powerful declaration. Here, humans still hold the line between peace and chaos.
Just as I set my backpack down on the floor, my heart was still pounding hard. The smell of gunpowder hung in the air, and the sound of wild hogs charging seemed to echo somewhere nearby. Here, in the southern United States, feral hogs have become a true nightmare. They tear through cornfields, rip up sweet potato farms, dig around the foundations of homes, and have even caused hundreds of traffic accidents. That is why today's hunt was not just an adventure. It was a mission. Everything happened so fast, from the moment that beast charged straight at me to the final shot echoing deep in the woods. Now, as I sit down and replay the footage, my hands are still a little shaky. Curious? Come with me and relive the heart-pounding moments from today's wild hog hunt. Early this morning, after loading our ammo, double-checking our rifles, and syncing up the GPS gear, we left the staging point in our hunting rig. From there, we moved in silence, making our way on foot into the old-growth forest where wild hogs are known to roam. Every sense was on high alert. We were locked in, waiting for that one moment when the prey would finally show itself. Not even 5 minutes in, the low brush ahead of us started to shake violently. Something was hiding in there. Suddenly, a black head popped up. A massive hog was charging straight at me. The distance closed fast. Just 2 meters out, I pulled the trigger. The gunshot tore through the still air, but the beast roared and kept coming. Right as it was about to leap, I fired again. The bullet struck dead center between the eyes. It froze mid-charge and crashed to the ground so hard the earth seemed to tremble. Right after that opening shot, just seconds later, the ground began to tremble. A massive herd of wild hogs came crashing through right in front of us. I locked in immediately. My rifle was ready, finger steady on the trigger. I lined up the sights on the hog running at the center of the pack. One shot rang out. The target froze for a split second, then collapsed hard. The rest of the herd scattered in panic and disappeared into the dry brush ahead. Immediately, the whole team spread out and gave chase. To my right, a teammate was running in the same direction. His eyes narrowed as he spotted a lone hog breaking away from the herd, trying to disappear into the thick brush. Without hesitation, he raised his rifle, pressed his cheek to the stock, and squeezed the trigger. The sharp crack of the shot echoed through the woods. The hog slid forward, then collapsed in a tangled patch of grass. Within seconds, it was completely still. After carefully sweeping through every patch of brush and gathering the hard-earned trophies, the team decided it was time to leave the forest. As we stepped out from the tree line, a wide-open plain stretched out before us. Out here, the view was much clearer, but that also meant the prey could spot us from a greater distance. I adjusted the rifle sling on my shoulder and scanned the horizon through my scope. Our dogs were released to scout ahead, setting the stage for a whole new kind of pursuit, one that would be nothing like the close-quarters chase inside the forest. Just as we stepped down, a sudden rustling erupted violently from the nearby brush, forcing us to back off and assess the situation. 3 dark figures shot out like arrows, kicking up dust and dirt as they charged forward. I turned instinctively, swung my rifle in line with their movement, and pulled the trigger. Sharp cracks rang out in rapid succession. 1 hog dropped on the spot. The other 2 bolted in panic, vanishing without even looking back. From our ambush spot nearby, my teammate James locked his eyes firmly on one of the 2 hogs racing like bullets. Waiting for it to enter his sights fully, James squeezed the trigger. The gunshot thundered through the air, and the hog sprang up sharply before collapsing to the ground. It struggled for a few seconds, then went completely still. Just when we thought the hunt was over, we strolled down the trail, chatting about the shots fired moments ago. Suddenly, the hound's sharp barks echoed ahead like a warning. "Game on," I whispered. In the next instant, 4 or 5 wild hogs burst through the brush like a storm. I immediately raised my rifle, locked onto my target. Bang! The prey dropped right there, its body rolling hard on the ground. The echo of that final shot was a clear sign that today's hunt had come to a close. As the sun began to rise, we headed toward the vast plains, a feeding ground where wild boar herds often roam at dawn. Our team traversed the endless fields in a Tesla Cybertruck. My comrades and I double-checked our rifles, ammunition, and essential gear, preparing for a confrontation with the massive, monstrous herd. As we sped across the flat expanse of the field, the ground suddenly trembled with rhythmic thuds. Sensing a hefty herd of prey ahead, my teammates slammed on the brakes. Before our eyes, a massive herd of wild boars charged forward, as if they'd caught wind of the hunter's presence. Without hesitation, I raised my rifle, locking the largest beast in my crosshairs. Holding my breath, I pulled the trigger, and a deafening shot tore through the air. Instantly, the monstrous creature collapsed, thrashing wildly, while the rest of the herd scattered in all directions. Seizing the moment, my teammates swiftly tracked the fleeing prey, their rifles following each desperate movement, picking off the boars one by one. A near-perfect start to today's hunt. Determined to track down the escaped herd, I used the GPS device to lead the team deeper into the plains. Suddenly, a lone boar broke from the pack and charged toward us. It stopped dead in its tracks, glaring at me as if daring me to act. My heart pounded as I gripped the rifle tightly, aiming straight at its head. A deafening shot rang out. The beast reeled backward, collapsing in defeat, completely subdued. Before we could catch our breath, not far off, my teammate had already zeroed in on another target. From a distance, it barreled through a clearing, mud and dirt flying under its frantic hooves. John took a deep breath, pressing the rifle stock against his shoulder, his eyes locked on the target. A shot rang out, the bullet piercing the beast's leg, causing it to stumble and drag itself in a desperate bid to escape. Without hesitation, a second shot echoed. Critical hit! John shouted. The massive creature collapsed, leaving behind an eerie, chilling silence. After taking down the last of the prey on the plains, we swiftly checked our gear, reloaded our rifles, and moved into the nearby forest, a perfect hideout for the wild boar herds in this area. Who do you think will emerge victorious in the battle about to unfold? We hadn't moved far when a sharp sound shattered the silent air. Our team leader signaled everyone to hold position. From the thicket ahead, a massive wild boar suddenly burst through, leaving a trail of snapping branches in its wake. Acting on instinct, Nick raised his rifle to his shoulder, tracking the beast's path with precision. The crack of the trigger echoed, and the bullet struck true, piercing the creature's massive body. It lost momentum, skidding across the dry grass, leaving a long, stained trail behind. Keep moving, my team leader said. About 10 minutes into our trek, a dangerous situation unfolded. A massive wild boar burst from the thicket, roaring and charging straight at me like a living arrow. The distance closed in an instant. Heart pounding, I barely had time to raise my rifle, align the sights, and pull the trigger. The bullet pierced clean through its forehead, and the sheer momentum of its charge sent its heavy body crashing down right at the tip of my boots. Continuing our journey, barely 10 minutes later, the forest erupted with grunts and the thunder of frantic hooves. A herd of wild boars was barreling through the dry thickets like a flood tearing through the silence. I spun around, quickly aimed at the one in the middle of the pack, and pulled the trigger. It dropped instantly, while the others scattered in panic, their clamor echoing through the depths of the forest. After hours of intense pursuit deep in the forest, exhaustion began to set in. We decided to retreat, following the narrow trail back. But just as we were heading out, a lone wild boar suddenly darted across our line of sight. Instinct kicked in. I raised my rifle and fired. The first shot grazed its shoulder. Not letting the beast escape, I quickly pulled the trigger again. The second bullet struck true, and the creature staggered before crashing to the ground, completely subdued.